drivers that were involved, 2 in the truck, 1 in a taxi. In terms of the truck driver immediately after the incident took himself to hospital because he was not seriously injured. He left the hospital, and as I'm addressing you now, the police have confirmed that he has made an appointment with the police to make a full statement to the police later this afternoon. There was an assistant truck driver who was hospitalized, and the hospital provided all the medical needs that was needed and was discharged. Then there was a taxi driver who was also hospitalized and later discharged. Through the work of the law enforcement agencies, he was arrested, interviewed, and the police have indicated that he will appear in court soon. On the basis of the work done by the police, we have now established that the PDP, which is the Public Driver's Certificate, has expired last year in November, and therefore he was driving without the necessary permits. The second area that we want to bring to the attention of our communities, which is a very painful part, is the number of those that have passed on. With the work of the law enforcement agencies, in particular the SAPS and the Department of Health, we can now confirm that 12 children passed on. Of all those children, 10 were identified when we were preparing for this briefing. 11 were identified when we were preparing for this briefing. The last family came forward, and all the children have now been duly identified. Of those injured, 5 were admitted through 2 of our hospitals in this province. 5 were admitted at Sebokeng, and 2 were admitted at Kopano. It's only 2 learners that are now in intensive care unit. 1 learner has been moved out of the intensive care unit. We've been inundated with the support systems from the private community, national government, and various institutions to provide all the support that is needed. Later on, the minister will address you on this, and we want to extend our appreciation to all the institutions that have provided the full support, from burials, groceries, counseling, and general support that is needed during this period. We want to clarify 8 important areas in terms of the scholar transport system and management in our province. But on the one side, we want to clarify that is the public scholar transport. The public scholar transport that is using buses carry almost 260,000 children per day. That is the government scholar transport. The private scholar transport, which is the taxi that was involved, because these are family arrangements with the drivers, it's extremely difficult for us to have the statistics. The team is working on the statistics so that we can make this information. But those that are transporting our children in the public sector, this is the information that we want to share with you. That from the 12th to the 18th of January, we've been embarking on intensive evaluation of all scholar transport. In Tshwane, we've given handwriting notices to those that their transport were not in good order, and those notices amounted to 335 notices. In terms of financial penalties, the amount is 511,000 rand. In Johannesburg, we issued 442 notices of people that didn't comply to take our children to school through the public scholar transport. And the notices were valued at 696,000. We have what we call e-enforcement infringements. That is the infringements that utilize electronic training. Either you're going through e-toll bridges or you're going through CCTV cameras. In Tshwane, the infringement were issued to 163 buses or transport. In Johannesburg, it was 850. In general, we also discontinued some buses that were not in good order. Between those dates that I've mentioned, the 12th to the 18th of January this year, we've discontinued 14 buses or kumbis. In Tshwane, 68 in Johannesburg, 11 in Ekurhuleni. In total, 93 buses were stopped from transporting our children, utilizing our proactive method of inspecting them before the school calendar can resume. In terms of arrest, we've arrested 5 people purely because of the state of their vehicles. Of the 5, 3 were arrested for bribery as they tried to bribe our law enforcement officers. There are 16 cars that we have impounded because they were not in a good order. And the value of these cars has also been calculated by the department. Also during this period, we identified many bus vehicles that are transporting children without the necessary authorization and approval. 57 of the minibus taxis were without license discs, and our traffic and law enforcement have stopped it. 2 minibuses were operating without proper license disc as well. And those that are operating across the province without the license disc are 153, and all of them have been tracked and removed from our streets. So where we are now as government is to provide the immediate support to all the families and to provide assistance to those that need assistance from government. And our assistance is categorized in 3 forms. The first one was visits, which will continue today. The second one is counseling, which we have requested the Department of Social Development and various institutions that have donated this kind of service to continue to provide this service. And the third one is funerals. We want to take this opportunity, as I indicated, the Minister will take you through this, to appreciate those that have already contacted us and want to provide all the forms of support that we need. Once more, we appreciate the message received from the President of our country, and we have made necessary arrangements to ensure that the President is updated with all the developments that are taking place around this matter. Obviously, an incident of this magnitude calls for a review of some of our legislation, regulations, and the support system in this particular sector. The MEC responsible for transport and the MEC of education have been assigned to come with proposals that will assist us to ensure that we eliminate this kind of behavior within the transport sector. Once more, our sincere condolences to the families and speedy recovery for those that are still trapped in our hospitals. Minister, I'll hand over to you to provide an update with all form of support that you have received. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Premier. And very good afternoon, everybody. As the Premier has indicated, we are a sector in absolute mourning. We are mourning the loss of innocent lives of our young ones who were on their way to school. And it was important, I think, after yesterday, the Premier and the MEC were here straight after the incident had taken place, but it was important, at least on my side, to come and personally visit the families that have been affected by this unimaginable grief. I want to assure South Africans that government from a local level, a provincial level, and at a national level will ensure that all families are supported. As the Premier already indicated, psychosocial support has already been activated so that we can make sure that families are supported. But also, this psychosocial support is also extended to schools and to learners and to the educators of these children. And that's very important to understand that even our schooling communities are mourning during this time. The Department of Basic Education and that of the Department of Transport have been working on some work to try and collaborate to see how best we can regulate the sector. Over 700,000 children in the basic education sector are transported by scholar transport. So, as the Premier indicated, while we may be able to do checks with some of the carriers of learners in the transport system, the reality is that there are private arrangements that we don't know about. And that's why it's become important that we work not only with the provinces, but we also work with the Department of Transport that has already come on board. I've been in contact with Deputy Minister Hlengwa, and his teams have also been activated here. I want to also indicate this, that it's very important that we note that while we want to review a lot of some of the policy regulations around scholar transport, over 80% of the incidents that happen on our road are due to driver error. It is because of motorists and drivers who are not behaving well on the roads, who are not adhering to the rules of the road. And we find ourselves often in these situations because people who are ferrying our learners are not taking the necessary precautions to be able to do that. And so this is why the Premier has in fact indicated that the police have already started to do its work. Because we can't keep coming to families and saying we are deeply sorry and sending our condolences to families when people are simply not adhering to the law. And so we will also be making sure that all of the families that have deceased loved ones will be receiving the necessary support for the burial, and these will be directed and coordinated from the district office. We've already received a number of commitments from the private sector and other places that say we will be able to assist. The faith-based organizations in this community have also come on board, and really this has been a community in mourning, but a community that has rallied around these families, and that's what we need to do as government on our side. And once again, we extend our deepest condolences. No parent should have to bury a child, let alone when the death seems so senseless. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Minister. I think we'll hand over to Elijah to conduct the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Premier. Thank you, Minister. Colleagues, we can now take questions. As usual, you raise your hand, tell us who you are, then ask your questions. We'll try to make them as short as possible so that we can still have time to visit the families that we still need to get to. I'm seeing one hand for you. Okay, let me start with you, please. Try to speak aloud, you don't have another microphone. Thank you. We'll take another question. I saw a hand. Written.
Good afternoon, Minister and Minister Leadership. Writing here from Mayfair, Winter. I have two questions. The first being, the driver was arrested, I think it was Do you think there's a need to maybe push for a charge of murder? Because this is a very, very serious matter, and as I understand, this human error, I don't know, couple of homicides seems like a very, very light charge. Let's just your comments on that in general. And then also just another one. Has it become too easy in South Africa to get a license? Or should there be a push to perhaps have a higher standard? Because 80% of accidents due to human error, that falls to a very serious systematic error. I mean, one of us in this room can be in an accident when we drive home. And those odds are not in our favor. So what's being done to perhaps to do integrity to that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's deal with those two, Premier.
Well, because I think we've taken a decision that the MEC responsible for education and the MEC responsible for transport must find a mechanism to bring this private scholar transport within the framework of our public transport. They transport our kids, they use public roads, and there must be a mechanism not only to identify them, but to find a way of ensuring that we can account for their behavior and conduct. You can see out of this incident, society is asking us questions. It's asking government, public sector, whereas this, we have left it as a private arrangement, but it's quite clear that that private arrangement does not work. Actually, the minister was reminding us that she was 10 days in office when an incident happened in Carltonville, which was another transport where we lost our children. While I was the MEC, I've seen a lot of this incident as well. So the team will start that work, and hopefully it will really assist us to finally attend to this matter. And there are many other things that parents have been complaining ever since this incident happened. So we are doing a consolidation of those aspects so that we can respond properly to all the inquiries around this matter. Network fear and Dwenda, I think let's allow the law enforcement agencies to do their work. I think they know how best to develop these charges. You know, we live in a constitutional state. We say something on the public platform, is utilized in court, that you have been influenced or pressurized. So our approach is to say, law enforcement agencies, this is a serious matter. Treat it that way. Ensure that you don't have gaps, and whatever that we're going to present in court should be a solid case that can send a strong message to all the people that are recklessly driving in our roads, that reckless driving costs lives, and they must be in a position to be punished for that. So we'll work on that aspect. I think the MEC for transport will tell you about the licenses later on. I'm not sure whether it's easy to get license in our country or not. You want to add, Minister?
Yes, just on the issue around the review of the scholar transport policy, the work that the National Department of Transport and DBE are working on is to also see how best we can incorporate, as the Premier said, those who are providing the private transport services into that framework, but also in a way that they can be registered, that they can be identified. A number of South Africans have been asking, why is it that people who are ferrying children, why can't we identify them? Why can't they have a sticker or an identifier or a number that says, if I'm driving recklessly, can you call this number, a central number, where people who are driving and ferrying kids are driving recklessly. The teams have been working on that from last year, and this will be also inform the work that is being done by the province. I just also, Premier, want to say to your point that it's absolutely important that we understand that the province has been very, very responsive. The MEC for Health had indicated to us that they've collected samples that they need, that they can hand over to law enforcement. Yeah. So law enforcement will be in a best position to be able to hand over credible evidence to where it needs to go. And so I think it's important that we give that credit to them for being able to be proactive in collecting that evidence, so that ultimately what we want is if somebody is culpable, they should lead to successful prosecutions. Thanks, Elijah.
Thank you very much. Maybe perhaps I should ask how many of you have driver's licenses and how did you get them? Because we have normalized that it's a pick and pay. Not that you should be trained first, and there's been amendments on K53, and one of the things that we've been trying to do as Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport is to look into, is it fine? Yeah. Is it to look into driving academies that we have. It's a big challenge. It's a space that is not regulated, and with advancement of technology, one of the ideas we are having and working closely with Saibono, maybe it's time to announce it, working closely with Saibono, TUT, and other key stakeholders is to look into smart driving academy, because we are one of the provinces that are faced with high rate of road fatalities during the Easter season as well as the festive season. And Section 49 of the National Road Traffic Act puts responsibility on public transport operators to ensure compliance with their vehicles, also compliance with the drivers themselves. And we have started with our National Department of Transport a back to school campaign on scholar transport. You know, our theme is, it starts with Uitomakawena. And one of the things that we have been trying to push a message on is for parents to, as and when they procure services of this education transport service providers, they should also ensure that the vehicles are compliant, the operators are well registered. So we've been working closely with Department of Education as well as the Gauteng Education Transport Service Providers associations that are here to try and put together a regulation for ourselves as Gauteng. There's a draft already that we are now subjecting it to different stakeholder engagement and consultation for us to be able to finalize it. So there's work that we're doing. All we need is get all of you working closely with all of us, because road safety is a collective responsibility. 80% of the fatalities that we have experienced Premier during the festive season and even now on yesterday, it's on human error and recklessness. I think yesterday's incident is a clear sign that we need to do more than what we've been doing as society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. Can I have another round of questions? Yes, no?
Why not emphasizing last round?
I'm seeing
last round.
I'm seeing 3 hands, and that will make the last round. So I'm going to start on my right. Please ask a question. Thank you. Thank you very much. I saw another hand here. You come.
Good afternoon. My name is Mfanelo from Jakarta. I've heard the Premier saying after such an incident, yes, kind of normal that we need to go and revisit the legislation. My question is that all along we're not aware, or the government was not aware that there is some of our legislation, there is some loopholes there. And then also we, as the government has to work, as it is a fire extinguisher, we wait for the fire and then what mechanism or plans do you have to assist the Vaal motorists or to repair the roads? Do you have any plan in the pipeline to help and assist you to repair the roads, especially for Thembisa? Thank you.
All right, thanks very much for that. Let's come to
I think when we spoke to the family, they highlighted that the taxi falls under a certain association. And there were questions around why the association hasn't yet come to visit the family. My question then is, as the department, when we work with these associations, is there going to be accountability that is going to be asked from the association that this taxi belongs to?
all right, thanks very much. Let's make that the last question. Thank you.
I'll handle the uniform buses. And then,
The first one.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, thanks very much. Premier,
Start
over to
Minister.
you.
No, start
Minister.
Minister.
I think it's important. Let me just first start off with the question that was asked about the, school-owned buses. As I indicated earlier, in South Africa, we provide over 700,000 learners with scholar transport. In the current fiscal reality in the country, it is not possible to immediately say that you would be able to own buses as schools or as government. But what we are doing is that we are getting on buses and transport that is registered, particularly those that we are aware of, so that we can make sure, as the MEC was indicating, that they are roadworthy, that they are not overcrowded, they're not overloading, and we are trying to make sure that that system is well run. Ultimately, this is an ecosystem. In some provinces, this is run by transport, like is in the case in Gauteng. In some provinces, this is a function that is in the education department. And so, depending on the provincial dynamics, ultimately, this is an entire ecosystem where there are buses that are contracted to do the work of scholar transport. Ours as a government is to make sure that those buses are in a good condition and that they adhere to the rules and they adhere to making sure that they are taking and ferrying learners to where they need to go. What we are saying, though, is in environments where there's a private arrangement, it's important that we see how we get families to essentially register, or at least have those private providers register themselves with the department, so that we can also scrutinize them in the same way that we do with those that provide this kind of transport. So this is an ecosystem that we have to work with. It is in the current fiscal envelope that we have to work in this way. But ultimately for us, I think the most important thing is to make sure that each and every person who's ferrying learners in the country is doing so in a way that is responsible and in a way that is above board and is essentially within the law. So I just thought I must just explain that as many people have made the example that, for instance, in the US, there are school buses that are identified. Of course, we would want to see every single vehicle identifiable as a learner transport vehicle. But I think in the current fiscal envelope, we wouldn't be able to say we can procure buses for each and every school. But what we're saying is that each and every bus that is ferrying learners should be easily identifiable and should have a contact number somehow if that there is reckless driving, that can be reported. And I think it would go a long way in trying to address, I think, what Ubaba was saying a little bit earlier on about the issue around private providers. Thanks, Elijah.
No.
Thank you very much. Maybe let's go and start with the conditions of roads and their impact on the road fatalities that we continue to experience. One of the things on the report that Minister Barbara Creasy has just presented to us as a nation is that 80% of road fatalities are as a result of human errors, nothing to do with the infrastructure. And of course, yes, there are challenges on the Siviwe meaning all the municipalities' road infrastructure. And as a province, we have been trying to assist the municipalities. But the fact is, there are challenges of bulk infrastructure and the sewer system in Mfanelo. And as you would want to fix roads, it will not be possible for sustainable, better road infrastructure as long as we do not fix the sewer system. And I know that the municipality has been working hard to ensure that they deal with the challenge. And we are putting an integrated plan in place to ensure that we assist where we can as a provincial government. One of the things that we have just done as this exco led by the Premier was to review the integrated transport master plan for 2050, which speaks to the aspect of scholar transport. Maybe let me explain. There's public scholar transport subsidized by government, and those are buses, and those fall under MEC Chiloane's department. And then there's these private ones that, in the case of the example of the case that we are on now, that we've been trying to organize. There's 2 associations now recognized by the province where these operators register and affiliate themselves. And that's where we are drafting a standard operating procedure. The sector has not been well regulated. We rely on the National Road Traffic Act as their regulations, but we looked into our own unique situation as Gauteng, and we've been working closely with those operators to ensure that we first organize them, get them registered with an association. Secondly, recognize them as the Department of Roads and Transport. Obviously, when you transport children, for instance, you must have what is called professional driver's permit. So you can't drive children, you can't drive people when you don't have that. So those are compliance issues that we are assisting them with. The taxi, I'm told by the taxi associations here that it was not a taxi as we know a taxi. It was a private minibus owned by a person that is operating scholar transport. And we are trying to correct that this is not a business where you, when you feel you want to retire, you can just go into tomorrow morning, you claim that you are driving children. And that's what we are doing with GETS and GGG LTO in Gauteng to create awareness that this is a public service. In as much as you are privately owned and it's an arrangement with parents, we are also trying to educate parents that there are things that they must look out for. Thank you very much.
Mayor.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to hand over to the Mayor of Mfanelo, Babsiko Fatela.
Thank you very much. Thank you, MEC. It's an open secret that many of our roads are challenged, are riddled with potholes, as we spoke about it. And that becomes too general. But where we need to zoom, it is where the incident has happened. I was there myself yesterday, the Premier and the MEC. We even checked the quality of that road. There's no pothole where the accident that has happened. So hence we are coming back that to say that this was a question of negligence on what has happened. So we cannot couple it to say that because we know in small farms the roads are bad, and that means anything that might have happened, it might be the cause of bad roads. The quality of the road is beautiful. It is a road that has been used, and for many other years. And even yesterday, we checked it, and to find out where it happened, there's nothing of such. So the question of road, it will come back. But what MEC has emphasized, it is on some of the responsibilities that you and I, especially those who are carrying or who are ferrying people to different routes, they must be in a position to take care of those that they are carrying. Because this is one thing that will make it easy for all of us. If the taxi driver didn't do what he has done, we were not supposed to be here. That is the message that we have. But in the same vein, Program Director, if you allow me, I just want to say in short, Premier, yesterday I requested the people of Vaal to stop what has been happening, which was, sending the social media videos that were going outside. Yeah. And I requested that let us rather have positive videos that we can share with the communities. And I want to applaud and acknowledge those that have already started. Especially, I've seen different churches, different ministers sending their messages in different WhatsApp groups. This is one thing that is going to be the problem to tighten up those who are broken at this present moment. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks so much. Legislation, unfortunately, is crafted by human beings. And in some instances, human beings can't imagine the things that will happen in the future. And that is why there will be some elements of changes within legislation or amendment of legislation. I'm one person that follows incident of aeroplanes quite closely. The formulation of some of the legislation, even including before an aeroplane lands, to switch off the lights inside the aeroplane. It was purely because there were incidents that people could not see the engine outside. But if you switch off the lights, you can be in a position to see that an engine is smoking and other things. So it's some of the things that allows us to make amendments to it. Obviously, it's tragic. It's sad that human beings have to go through this pain first before a certain piece of legislation can be formulated. And that's an area that we should avoid. Secondly, visibility of traffic officers, it's something that we have consolidated as a province. And I want to thank all municipalities, without exception. We've got 11 municipalities in Gauteng. We said to all municipalities, it's difficult for you to say, I'm monitoring traffic or crime in my own municipality alone. Let's put all municipalities under one roof so that even Ekurhuleni can monitor in Vaal, in Johannesburg, or all other areas. And all municipalities have passed that legislation, Minister. So we can put all our resources together, regardless of the boundaries that municipalities are in, without them forfeiting their insurance benefits and all other things, which is very important because it increases the capacity and also support municipalities that might not have the tools of trade that are needed to deal with some of these ideas. So it's one area that we are proud of, and I think it would increase visibility. But as a province, we are migrating into e-policing. And that is why we can tell you, without having a traffic cop at the street, which car has passed the red robot and we can send a traffic fine, or which car is not in good condition and send a traffic fine. And you might have seen the video of the incident itself. It's the investment in CCTV cameras and the things that we are putting across the province. It might not be enough, but it assists that the police can then follow up and have visible material that they can utilize in court to deal with some of the incidents. I want to take this opportunity wholeheartedly to thank the Minister of Basic Education for the support. Minister, once more, thank you. All the executive mayors that are here, the law enforcement agencies, the MACs that are here, for the work that we've done thus far. We want to go back to the families and provide the support and also check needs of families, because the needs differs, the family. And after we've consolidated that approach, we'll come back to you in terms of the memorial service, and we'll also come back to you in terms of funeral arrangements, after we've visited and we've interacted with families. And to families, we are with you during this difficult moment. There's no way that we'll let you down. There's no way that we're not going to give you the necessary support that is needed. I want to leave it here. Thank you so much. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks very much, Premier. We are going to Zone 6, which is where about 5 or so families have lost their children. So we're told it's along the same street.
Okay.
Thank you very much.